Hi, Cianna. Thank you so much for helping my project. Could you say a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So hi, I'm Cianna. I work with you at the moment before you moved to NASA, which is really cool. I live in York in England in the UK. I've lived here pretty much all my life except for uni. Um, I did a physics degree at uni, so I had a lot of modules on astrophysics, which was really cool. Uh, what else? I have a decorative telescope in the background at the moment, but I used to own a proper telescope when I was younger. However, I could never get a proper stable mount for it, so I gave up on it. I also didn't really have the patience for having to find things myself through the telescope. Um, but yeah, I still like to keep into the whole astronomy thing though. It's really cool, and I've got a Google Pixel phone, which has an astrophotography mode, so you can actually set it up on a clear night sky, leave it for about 5 minutes, and it'll take a really detailed picture of the sky. So I like to do that a lot. It's really cool.
Wow, and is that just part of the normal Pixel?
Yeah. Like usually phones will have like a portrait mode and I don't know, like you can take panoramas and stuff like that. It's that same kind of thing. So it can pick up when the phone is pointing at the sky, and then you literally just press a button and it'll take an exposure. I think it takes like 20-second exposures over about 4 or 5 minutes, and it will stack them itself as well, so you don't have to do any of the work, which is great.
Wow, I have a person who works at Google with a Google Pixel phone visiting right now. I should try it out just to see what it's like.
Yeah, definitely. It's an incredible phone for that kind of stuff, and it makes it really accessible for people who don't have telescopes or expensive cameras, that kind of stuff. It's a nice accessible way of getting into sort of like a amateur version of astrophotography.
You have to share with me some of the pictures you take.
Yeah, definitely. I'll send some over.
So in your physics class, did y'all study much about thermodynamics?
Yes, I did. Although, please don't ask me any questions on it because I've pretty much forgotten everything. And
Yeah,
so,
the team that I'm going to be on for the International Space Station is responsible for station power. So the solar panels and batteries, and the um, making sure there's enough electrical energy available to do all the things you want to do, and then also the external thermal control system. So the radiators, and they have liquid ammonia going through loops carrying the heat from the heat producing to the radiators. So just kind of interested in what's all the physics I should know, but we'll see.
don't ask me anymore. It's been too long. It's all been erased from my mind. But yeah, it sounds really cool.
Yeah, gonna learn a lot. I definitely will know a lot more in a year than I do now.
Yeah, definitely. Always good to have a chance to learn.
So do you plan to get back into astronomy at some point beyond the phone?
I definitely I try and keep up with as much as possible, like online. Obviously, you see things in the news when major things are happening, that kind of stuff. I try and keep up with it, but it's so hard. Like when you become an adult, life gets so busy, and it's constantly trying to juggle time for things. But I want to try and keep as much in the loop with stuff that's going on. I've always been really interested. I maybe heard it was probably about 2 years ago about how they're planning to do a mission to Europa, and potentially if they can land on it and drill through the ice and see if there's anything there. So I'm really interested to see. I think I've seen something about them maybe wanting to have a flyby around 2024. But if they can get a mission to actually go to the moon and actually drill through it, that'll be pretty cool. See if there's anything lurking underneath the ice.
Also, amazing engineering to be able to do that so far away in such an environment.
Definitely, yeah. I guess they really don't have much of a clue of what's under there as well. So you have to have something that's ready to deal with, if there's more ice than they expected in terms of thickness, that kind of stuff. It probably require a lot of technology.
I think it's kind of interesting how inwardly focused society seems to be in terms of politics and economics and just all about trying to have like a comfortable life and these types of things. I mean, those seem to be like the priorities of society. So, whenever you consider what you were just talking about, how big and vast even our solar system is, not to mention, the universe. I mean, it just seems like that we would behave very differently if we had the perspective of an astronomer.
I guess a lot of people are, you focus more on what's around you day to day, that kind of stuff. So things like politics and all that is something that's around us every day. It's kind of, I guess thrown in your face on the news, that kind of stuff. Whereas space and astronomy is more of a, they'll only really talk about it in main news when something major happens, which is a bit of a shame because you lose a lot of interest from most of the public if it's something that you don't hear about very often. But yeah, it would be cool because even I guess space exploration is mostly focusing on things that are out there, but I guess even if it doesn't directly benefit, you do get a lot of benefits from sort of space exploration missions. Like I know lots of previous NASA missions have brought out technology and stuff that has actually benefited us day to day. So it is always helpful, even if it's not directly showing it.
Well, I know you were talking about, Jupiter's moons, and that's going there. But did you know that NASA is planning to send astronauts to our own moon, for the first time since 1972?
I do, because I've been keeping up on the interviews that you've been doing. Yeah, it's going to be really cool because we haven't been there for such a long time, and obviously our technology has changed so much. So it'll be cool to have that sort of second chance when we land again. I guess we've got better technology for analysing the surface and collecting samples, and having a good nosy around, seeing what's out there. So I think it'll be really interesting to have a bit more of an in-depth look at something that we can see that's so close to us yet so far away. I think it'll be cool. And I guess we've got better video equipment to show it all happening for everyone back on Earth, which is quite cool.
Yeah, I mean, it might feel like you're actually there with like 3D, 360-degree views.
Oh, definitely. If they can put it in like VR or something, get people to mass watch it as they're stepping off the rocket or something, that'd be pretty cool. Definitely.
What do you think about sending people versus sending just robots?
Ooh. Well, I guess robots in a way would be better as long as we have robots that I guess have the right AI or technology in them to be able to do the same. Because I guess you don't need as much provisions for the journey. You can probably build smaller rockets, that kind of stuff. So it would probably cost less. It'd be faster. That'd be good. But I feel like maybe at the moment technology isn't quite as good at some sort of analysis as real humans are. And also it's kind of cool to be like, okay, we actually sent people to a completely different object in the universe, that kind of thing. So yeah, I feel like for entertainment value it's better to have people going, but definitely I'd say if we want more trips it's probably better to have technology, robots, that kind of stuff doing it.
Now, if you're talking about entertainment, what do you think about people versus animals? Like dogs, the first dog on the moon.
I feel like that's kind of unfair because the dog doesn't really get a say in it. Same with even apes and stuff like that. I feel like it's definitely a lot better to have people who, actually want to go there and actually want to take that step and explore. Whereas I can imagine it's very confusing for animals. just suddenly being put in a space rocket and sent up and have no idea what's going on. But
I think that's a very good point. Yeah, it's okay to be fully informed and consent to put yourself in that situation, but if you're not able to understand what's going on, then that's a little unfair, I guess.
yeah, definitely.
Do you think we'll have people living on the moon at some point? I mean, like, as just like we have people living here?
Yeah, I guess so. I haven't really looked into it, but I did see that they've done not for the moon, but for Mars, they've done sort of like test scenarios of like isolation of groups that maybe haven't gone so well. So I guess that's one blocker, making sure that people would be able to get along and sort of, because it would have to be a closed community, wouldn't it? Since you don't have oxygen or enough oxygen on other planets. But I think definitely technology wise, we'd be able to get over there. The moon and maybe Mars in, gosh, I don't know. I know Elon Musk is really pushing to get us to Mars. So I guess if he keeps focusing on it, we'd maybe be there and set up in 30 to 40 years, probably. I don't know. But yeah, I think there's definitely potential on like the moon, Mars, like closer objects.
Yeah, Elon Musk. Yeah, you mentioned him. He talks about building a million-person city on Mars by 2050. I mean, what do you think about that?
I guess a million person would be stretching it. I guess not only the travel costs of having to bring people over from Earth, that kind of stuff, but having something set up already on the planet that would be able to cater for people. I mean, you can't just have fields and fields just out on the Martian surface, that kind of thing. You need things set up. So I feel like it would probably take a lot longer to have a decent environment for that and have tested that it would actually last long term, that kind of stuff. Because yeah, I guess if you suddenly have a crop that gets diseases or something like that, then you're all screwed. So got to be careful. But yeah, definitely maybe in 100 years a million person city could potentially work. But again, I guess having that set up to have, I don't know, larger buildings would be a bit difficult. I think at the moment having the little small domes is probably as far as they're gonna get.
Um, it's interesting you mentioned about crop production and food. I've often thought, the human body only needs like certain chemicals in certain proportions, and right now our way of getting those chemicals is to actually plant plants and then harvest them and then actually cook them and eat them. But what if we actually figured out some way to actually directly produce what we need to sustain ourselves and didn't need plants?
That would be pretty cool. Yeah, it's like you get in like sci-fi movies where you have like a pill that's the equivalent of an entire meal. Yeah, that would definitely be cool. It would definitely help a lot with kind of our furthering into getting to that point where we can sustain on a different planet. I mean, I'd miss eating, chocolate cake and stuff like that. Wouldn't be as tasty, but yeah, I suppose it'd be something that could happen. I guess it's not just food though, is it? That would be an issue if you're moving. It's whether there's the right resources, like elements and stuff. For I don't know if something broke down, whether you have the resources to replace it, or whether it's just a finite amount that you've brought over from Earth, that kind of stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, and having completely 100% recyclable things would be key too. Then you could just reuse what you have and transform it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Need a lot of skilled people who are able to take something and be able to make it out of stuff if things break down. Think outside of the box.
I think outside the dome or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So whenever you look at the future of humanity, what do you see?
So I definitely think we'll be able to, in some way, have colonies on Mars, the Moon, potentially maybe a few other. We can explore a bit more a few of the other planets in the solar system. Especially, I want to know more about Europa, but I don't know how much we'd learn in yours or mine lifetime. But as for outside of the solar system, I don't think we have the technology to be able to do that because, you know, a lot of other stars or potentially habitable planets are so far away. It would be what, hundreds, thousands of years of travel based on the technology we have at the moment. And similar to even just trying to get to Mars, if you have a spaceship that's going to be traveling for hundreds of years, I don't think we have the technology or the resources at the moment. So that if you think about how often things break down on Earth, if that happens in space and they're not near anything, literally in the middle of nowhere, you don't have the resources to be able to fix those things. If something critical happens, you don't have, you know, something nearby to be able to sort it out. So I feel like that's probably a lot further away in terms of how far we'd be able to explore, at least with manned vehicles. I feel like if we could find something that we could shoot off very fast that was not driven by a human, then that could be cool. Try and find some more planets out there.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an interesting thought. You know, just being able to transfer maybe human consciousness to a computer as an example. And you talked about fixing the ship. I was thinking, you know, if we send people a little closer to Mars, that we should actually send the people that built the ship. So if something happens along the way, they would know about it, know how to change it.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, I guess if you're traveling over hundreds of years, though, I don't think we have anything close to having sort of like a cryogenic, like being able to freeze people while they travel. So you think about, you'd have several generations of people that would have to be born and trained up while living on the ship. That'd be quite a weird experience, being born on a spaceship, never seen Earth, that kind of thing. Be strange.
It would be at first. Everything's strange at first. Being born in a hospital was strange at one time.
That is true. Yeah, yeah. I guess it'd be normal for them. Earth would be strange. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. It's an interesting concept.
So you feel pretty positive about the future of humanity.
Yeah. If we don't all kill each other first, then I think technology-wise, we'd be able to do a lot. It's whether we can all stay civil until then. But yeah, I guess there's a lot of blockers in terms of whether you get governments or companies that want to invest in that kind of thing, or would block it, focus on other things, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I guess if it was no holds barred, then we'd be able to do quite a lot more with it, which would be good.
And do you think we're more civil now than we used to be, or less civil?
Oh, it's kind of a mix of both, isn't it? Because I feel like overall, you know, there's a lot more of a civil society day to day, but I still feel like things like social media, it's a lot easier for people who are not so civil to, you know, go after or like insult other people. So it makes it a lot more accessible for people to do worse things. But overall, I feel like we're a bit more intelligent societal wise than we used to be. But equally, we have access to more deadly weapons, that kind of stuff. So it takes one person to kind of throw that all back.
Well, you know, there's been some criticisms of games where you like hunt animals, or you know, shooting games and that type of thing. And some people say that sure, it's bad, but this is like a way for people to vent those kind of bad things, and then they can be normal, good human beings otherwise. I was just wondering if maybe social media is kind of like an outlet in some ways that allows for people to sort of vent over here, but then, you know, be civil otherwise.
Yeah, true. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a form of getting emotion out and things like that. But I guess it's not necessarily good because it makes it easier for people to hurt other people, that kind of thing. Whereas otherwise they wouldn't have had that voice. But I guess they'd maybe take their anger out in different ways, which is also bad. But I feel like fighting games, I don't think that they would necessarily cause issues. Like I feel like a lot of kids, even if they grow up with it, majority of people can tell the difference between what's a game and what's real life, that kind of stuff. But definitely having it as a way to let out anger is one thing. But there are always several other options on how to release emotion. So yeah, not always the best one doing it through anger.
I know we used to do something physical like chop down a tree and make firewood, or build a
Yeah,
fence or
yeah.
something.
Yeah, like even, childhood has changed so much since then. Like I remember, over summer we'd spend a lot of the time just going out building dens and stuff in the fields and forests nearby, whereas nowadays it's very much phone focused, tablet focused, that kind of stuff, which is sad, but it's a difficult one because I would hope that most parents would want their kids to have sort of a similar childhood to they had, where they're going out and exploring rather than spending all their times on the phone. But then equally, there's the issue where if you have a kid that isn't linked through social media, isn't talking to their friends that way, whether they'd end up being sort of like an outsider, that kind of thing, because they're not as connected as the other kids. So it's a difficult one.
Maybe there'll be special schools set up for people who want to have a non-social media experience.
Yeah, that'd be quite good. Be an interesting one, definitely. It's a good idea. I mean, for all we know, social media has become such a big thing, and like ever more so every year. For all we know, it might hit a point, and everyone will just be like, "No, this is too much," and it'll just all go. I mean, I'm not that positive it would happen, but who knows?
A great sign off or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, so let's assume that Elon Musk is successful with his million-person city on Mars. Let's assume that your child, grandchild, whatever moves to Mars. Maybe you move to Mars. Who knows? I'll ask you that in a bit. But your great 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 grandchild grew up on Mars her entire life. She's in high school. She's doing this paper where she has to talk about what life on Earth was like before we went to the moon again and traveled to Mars. And she sees this interview, and you can help give her an A on her paper. Uh, are there any insights that you would like to share?
Oh gosh. Well, I guess for the next planet, some good things to keep in mind is to try and keep the planet whole, not destroy it slowly, like is what's happening at the moment with ours. Definitely focus on wildlife and in the environment, things like that, because when they're thriving, everything else thrives, which is great. Yeah, just focus on trying to build up a good environment, because it's probably the most beautiful part of Earth is the kind of diverse wildlife and plants and everything, landscapes that we have. So it's definitely something to try and keep a hold of as much as possible.
It's going to be interesting because pretty much all the wildlife that she would see would probably be imported from Earth, and
Yeah,
then maybe slowly adapting or being
yeah, genetically
specifically.
modified plants. That'd be cool. But yeah, yeah, no,
So if it, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, nowhere near as good as what we currently see on Earth.
So if it was safe and affordable, would you take a trip to space?
Yeah, I think so. I yeah, a return trip. I wouldn't want to completely leave Earth, like move to a different planet. But yeah, if it was also a bit more eco-friendly, I'd love to, you see the pictures of sort of the curvature of the Earth in like low orbit flights, that kind of stuff. I'd love to see something like that in person, just kind of seeing the edge, as it were, or even being able to go a bit further away and sort of starting to see the Earth a bit further away in like its globe shape. It'd be quite cool.
Maybe a trip to the moon would be ideal.
Yeah, definitely. If they had like a moon hotel, that would be quite cool.
So if you went to the moon hotel, aside from looking at Earth and looking at the stars, what are some other things you'd want to do?
Oh, definitely experience gravity on the moon. That would be really cool. Feeling quite weightless, being able to jump higher. That'd be pretty awesome.
Well, I know we talked about a lot, but is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't get to?
No, I'm good.
Well, Cianna, thank you so much for your time, and it was a pleasure to get to connect with you.
Yeah, you
And
too.
and I want to have a big New Year's Eve party at the end of 2024 and invite everybody that participated in my project. So you have to save it
I
on
will
your.
definitely be there. Definitely, 100%. That would
That'd
be
be,
awesome.
yeah, it'd be pretty amazing. Some of the people are going to be kind of difficult to track down. Whenever I visited York last time, I interviewed a lady on the train between York and Edinburgh.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure there'll be social media will be so prevalent by then you'll be able to track anyone down. You just put out like a wanted sign, let people share all the way through, like Facebook or something. Be cool.
well,
Nice.
awesome. Well, you have a good rest of your day and stay in touch.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, hope you have a lovely day and that you enjoy your new job. It's going to be really cool.
Thank you so much. Okay, bye bye.
All right. Bye.